Okay, my name's Jock Scott. I was a student here from 1978 to 82, studied philosophy. I then went on to the London School of Economics, did a Master's in Human Resource Management, did an Executive MBA at City University Business School, and I've been working in Human Resource Management ever since.
Tell us a bit about you and your relationship with Stirling University.
I arrived here as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed teenager. I think I was 17 years of age, about 45 years ago. I came with the intention of studying English and becoming an English teacher. That very quickly changed. I chose philosophy as my subject and loved it. I loved being on the campus. It was stunning, it still is. It was a wonderful experience, it still is, and it set me up for what I do now.
Tell us a bit about your high points, low points, other things you were doing.
So I think the high points were just being here and studying and enjoying studying, but also enjoying the campus life. So I was active in any number of societies, I was politically very active. I was on the entertainments committee, so we organised any number of gigs here in Pathfoot. My interest in the outdoors wasn't quite with me then, but I was very active in the Film Society. I sat on the management committee of the McRobert Arts Centre, so a sort of growing interest in culture and politics, which remains with me. My one regret, you asked about low points. I never had a low point, but my one regret was not taking advantage of the international opportunities to study during my time at Stirling. And I think that's particularly potent for Scottish students because we've got such a wide choice. There's very few Scottish students go elsewhere in the country outside Scotland to study, for example. There's even fewer go abroad. So if I was to have my time again, I'd make sure that I'd spend at least 1 year of my studies overseas.
What was your career ambition as a graduate student, and what did you do after graduation?
So I originally came here to become an English teacher. I changed that very quickly. When I left, I wanted to become a social worker. I didn't have any relevant qualifications, so I worked in residential childcare in Fife, where I grew up, for a few years. That convinced me that childcare was not for me and that the public sector was not for me. I retrained, hence the move into human resource management.
What kind of career you have had to date?
I've worked primarily in human resource management, mostly in professional services. So I spent 10 years in what's now PwC, both in the UK and in the Middle East. I've worked in investment banking, I've worked in any number of consulting companies. I've been self-employed on 2 separate occasions, and on the second occasion I've been practicing as a mediator, helping to resolve workplace disputes these past 10 years or so.
Advice. What kind of advice you will have for a young student?
Take every single possible opportunity to learn. Take every single possible opportunity to do stuff outside of your learning. Recognise you're very privileged and work that privilege.
Tell us a bit about your fondest memories of Stirling.
I very clearly remember my first day here. It felt like a day of liberation. A 17-year-old arriving to see the campus for the first time and to have 4 glorious years in front of me. I enjoyed the studying and I enjoyed all the social and cultural activities.
John, tell us a bit about your current involvement and association with Stirling.
I do 2 things. I remain involved with the philosophy department, so I sponsor a scholarship for students like me, first generation Scottish, doing honours at philosophy. I've done that now for 7 or 8 years. I occasionally provide career advice sessions for philosophy students, recognising them, very few of them will make it as major philosophers. I'm involved with the management school. I sit on their advisory board and I give lectures on various subjects to the management school students, specifically with a focus on HR management because that's my background. And I'm in the process of agreeing an essay prize for the HR students in the undergraduate programme, which I also will sponsor.
Thank you. I should be clapping my hands. What message you have for your viewers today who might be looking for ideas and future planning and just trying to figure out life and next stuff?
That's a very good question. I think the world is increasingly complex, and any period of study that helps prepare people for that complexity must be a good thing. If it's too narrow, don't do it. If it's specialised, don't do it. But think about doing something that will help deal with that complexity. And as a philosophy graduate, I'm biased towards philosophy, but there'll be other subjects that will help in that respect. And don't get too stuck on particular career options, because they're bound to change over a period of time.